Hey guys, welcome to the Cast and Spear podcast. My name is John, and today we have somebody very special all the way from Kauai. His name is Brian Fern. You might see him on Instagram as Uncle Learn You How. I'll put the spelling in the show notes so you guys can find him and follow. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you having me.
So this week, guys, we're going to be covering a bunch of topics from partner safety to roller spear guns to diving in strong current. So make sure you check out this entire series. But today we are going to focus on partner safety, which Brian has a lot of good thoughts and ways that we can all be diving safer. So Brian, please let us know, like, what are your thoughts on partner safety? What should we be doing?
All right. So when you guys choose a partner, it is essential to know how long they've been diving, if they've had any type of previous safety training. That could have come in the way of a freediving course, a safety course. They could have even gone online to Ted Hardy's website, freedivingsafety.com. That's another great resource. But the bottom line is your partner needs to know what it means to be a partner, something were to happen, what to do, and also that watching you is more important than shooting a fish.
So let us know some of the stories, because I know, and unfortunately, we hear on Instagram and in the news, Hawaii is not this. It's a safe place to dive if you're doing it right, but it's in the middle of the ocean and there's a lot of crazy things that could happen. Do you have any like examples of things that could have been prevented that you know about firsthand?
I think all the recent deaths could have easily been prevented if the person's partner had been where they were supposed to be. Now, what does that mean? Where am I supposed to be as a partner? Obviously, you don't want to be right on top of the person. You don't want to interrupt the hunt. You don't want to make it so you're spooking the fish. But you need to also be aware of what's going on with your partner. One of the things I like to do is every time I dive with someone, I ask them right off the bat, honestly, what's your comfortable diving depth? What's your average dive time? That way, when my partner does a dive, I actually look at my watch and I begin to time them. So if they told me their dive is a minute and a half, if they're still laying on the bottom of under a minute, then I'm going to start moving my way closer. As they begin to come up, I'm bridging that gap so I can meet them at the surface within arm's reach of them. And the reason you want to be that close is if they have a LMC, which is the loss of motor control, or they black out, you're right there to grab them. It doesn't do them any good if you're still 20 feet away looking side eye at them to verify that they made it if they don't make it and they start to drop, right? So that's an essential component of partnering, is being where you need to be. So all these people that drowned, sure they had a partner, but a partner that's where they need to be versus someone that's in the water with you at the same time, that's not a partner.
Now, is there any rules of thumb for in terms of like that proper follow depth? Because I've seen YouTube videos where say you're going down to 70 feet, you're down there for quite a long time, and then there's some videos where the guy's coming up and they might meet at 30. Is that something where you want to meet like halfway, or are you kind of just like chilling just to make sure there's no loss of motor control, or how do you do that process?
Well, if you're considering the physics behind a shallow water blackout, you're actually looking at atmospheric pressure changes, right? So when you come up beyond that last atmospheric pressure, which is pretty much between 33 feet and the surface, that's when you can have the effect of oxygen leaving your brain and going back into your lungs as your chest cavity expands. So that's how that whole process takes place. Very rarely is someone going to actually black out while they're on the bottom, because when they're under pressure, there's sufficient oxygen in the system. It's allowed to get to their brain. So for the most part, it's when someone's coming back up. Notoriously, if someone's coming up, they see an opportunity to go back down, and then they come up again. That could be the kiss of death, right? Because they knew they were supposed to come up already. They got distracted. They went back down. They're now at the end of their breath hold potential, more than likely. But in answer to your question, you kind of have a set limit with your partner, right? If you're diving like 30 feet or less, or even 40, everybody's comfortable at those depths. You're not so worried about it. But when you start to go more atmospheres, 66 feet, 99 feet, that's more pressure, that's more oxygen that gets burned on the way up. So my partners and I, if we're doing a drop, say deeper than 60, then we're going to begin to do the I'll meet you halfway thing, and then spot you so we're face to face here on the way back up where I'm close enough to grab you if something bad happens.
What do you say to those people who think that sure that works for like blue water, you're out in Hawaii, that's kind of a specific style of diving, but then say in Southern California or Baja where it's more murky water and you're not going to 100 feet often, so it's like why do I need my partner to be that close? I can't see them anyways, or we're in the kelp, they're going to scare away certain fish.
Well, in answer to that question, if you're diving in murky conditions to where, say, your partner goes below 20 feet and you can no longer see them, that's when you want to have some white items on your person, be it a snorkel, a weight belt, your fins. That'll increase the visibility from the surface looking down. And if it's murkier than that, you have a white tagline attached to either yourself or your gun. So at least if you're moving around on the bottom below that murk line, I still know where you are. Otherwise, if you're not attached to anything, once you go drop below that murk line, I have no means of knowing where you are. You might pop up 50 feet that way, and I have no way to tell. So you have to adjust things based on the conditions and the type of hunting you're doing.
Yeah, that's super clutch. And it wasn't until I started putting colored, like the neon green weights, just after diving with buddies, and you're just like, "Where'd you go? Where'd you go?" I hate when they come up like way far away, and you're like, "I feel bad. I was supposed to be spotting you there." Do you have like a policy if somebody that you trust, just doesn't abide by the partnership rule? Is it like once you kind of leave me hanging, you're out kind of thing, or you just don't get that call back the next time you go diving?
Yeah, I mean, it can be that severe, but ultimately, if this person is a partner of yours that you've dove with on more than a few occasions, then you guys must be doing things right. Otherwise, you wouldn't keep diving together. And I think it's harder for people to find a new partner than it is to continue with someone they're comfortable with because the new partners, until you go, you just don't know, how observant they are, and I've had a lot of guys that I dove with that they were stoked because I was on them, right? I was where I needed to be for their safety. But yet I might be 60 feet on the bottom, look up, and the guy's starting to kick away. And then I just abort the dive and come up and say, hey, man, you got to watch me. A spot is a spot. If you're not going to spot me, this relationship's not going to work. And you have to approach it as a relationship.
I like what you're saying about that kiss of death because I have seen it firsthand where you go down for a long time, and buddy comes up, then sees the fish, goes back down, and then you get the blackout. It's pretty crazy how that works.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to remember no fish is worth your life when you're in the moment, right? Because adrenaline kicks in. But that adrenaline kicking in is actually counter to what it takes to be successful at spearfishing, and ultimately that is relaxation. So as soon as you start getting hyped up, you start using more oxygen.
Yeah, I kind of had to tell myself, and I've done this. I've caught myself a few times where I try to be like one drop, one up, where it's like I don't see the fish when I'm down. I'm only supposed to be shooting a fish if I'm coming back up and I see him, like a pelagic that just rolls through. But if I see one down below, that's another dive. It's like I got to come back to that one. So I kind of just tell myself because I don't know. It spooked me the first time I saw the shallow water blackout from that situation. So
Well, the coolest thing about having a solid partner is when you're down there, they're observing you, especially in Hawaii where we have really good visibility. We can kind of oversee everything that's going on. So in that sense, if my friend's on the bottom and he doesn't see that fish that was over his shoulder, I can communicate with him, but then it's my turn to take that drop. And realistically, it doesn't matter who shoots the fish because we're partners and we're both going to eat. We're going to share that catch equally. So you're always going to be more productive diving in a team as opposed to trying to be secret about it, right? And trying to say, well, I got to stay down longer because if I don't shoot it now, he's going to shoot it and I'm going to miss out. That's a very poor attitude as a partner, right? That's not a partner. That's every man for himself.
I like what you're saying. I think getting rid of the ego and actually being like a like a doubles partner in tennis, right? It's like you got to win the match together. You know, you're not playing singles here. So if you get that out of the way early up front, saying we're going to share whatever we catch, you know, as long as we catch it together, it's a great day. I think that's a conversation that maybe not a lot of people have. So that just takes out the ego and the all that kind of gibberish if you get that out of the way early.
Absolutely. Ego is going to be the killer, right? Ego is going to be the reason why that guy kicked off on his own, right? Ego is going to be the reason why, if I have a new partner and I know these guys are really good, I might try to dig down deep and say, well, they can dive 100. I'm going to try to dive 100 too to save face, right? Who really cares? You know, if I dive with somebody new, the first question I ask him, like I said, is what's your comfortable depth? And guess what? If you tell me 40 feet is your comfortable depth and mine's 100, we're only diving 40 feet that day. Not only because you can't get that deep, but if I go deeper, now I put us both at risk because now I'm 80 feet down. I have a problem. You can't possibly come get me, but the obligation of being my partner may push you to try. And then we're both done, right? That's like first responders. That's rule number one. You never put yourself at risk, right? Even if the person's in the burning building and yeah, you want to save them, but if it's going to make it so other people might be casualties of it, you just can't do it.
That's a perfect place to stop, guys. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about roller spear guns. If you want to reach out to Brian and say hi, hit him up on Instagram at Uncle Learn You How. I will put how to spell that in the show notes. Until next time, see you on the next one.